Welcome to the Neutral Zone.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for a long, long year. So many men sold away. And I was around when Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and faith. Made damn sure that Pilate washed his hands and sealed his fate. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. But what's puzzling you is the nature of my game.
Good morning. We are here on the Neutral Zone. I'm your host, Jason Schwartz. The Neutral Zone here on KAKU 88.5 was created so we could talk about all kinds of subjects, and the goal is to put in the clutch so that when we talk about a subject, we don't cut each other up like you see so often on Facebook and most social media. And we can talk to all kinds of people, all kinds of candidates about all kinds of subjects, and that's what we do. And if you've been watching our show, you know that we're looking at issues now in this political year. And we've had different guests on. Last week we had Fire Chief Jeff Murray. I want to thank the Maui News for putting him on the front of the Sunday paper. He's a wonderful guy, and we in Maui County are lucky to have had a fire chief like Jeff Murray. Well, today I have a special guest. His name is Ron Fogel. We'll introduce him in a minute. And the reason that we're here is because we're going to talk about housing, homelessness, mental health. I think they all sort of tie together. But let's get into it. Good morning, Ron. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me on the show. I really feel honored and appreciative that I get that opportunity to speak to you and your
thousands, hundreds of thousands.
And
we hope.
So I'm here, and hopefully it'll go well.
Yeah. Well, let me share with our audience why I brought you here. Ron, you are now, I guess, technically called retired.
Yep, that's so.
But you have lived on Maui a number of years.
Yep, I first came here in '66, and I've spent 28 years total, and living on Maui, leaving Maui, living on Maui, leaving Maui.
Okay, and so here you are now. You're living on Maui.
Yep,
and you've been in the system. You've had periods where you've been in need of social assistance and have gone through and to things about being homeless, things looking for housing, trying to get mental health things, trying to tie it all together. And sadly, more and more people that I know are going through any and all of the above. People are having a lot of mental stress from trying to work 2 and 3 jobs. I found it interesting that at the Small Business Development Center, they let me know a statistic I thought was quite meaningful. $31.65 an hour is what they think is a living wage to be able to live okay on Maui. I don't think I know very many people that make $31.65 an hour. So that sets up a condition where people are getting all kinds of assistance services or working 1 and 2 jobs, and God forbid they get a health challenge and they lose a job, and they could be homeless. Any of us could be homeless in just a blink, and any of us can be houseless in just a blink. And so that's why I brought you on, because you've had a lot of experience with a lot of these agencies, and you've also seen a lot of people that don't have challenges think that the services that we have are plentiful and adequate. But I haven't found that to be true. I have tried to help people and direct them to things, and they run into all kinds of roadblocks.
Yep. Well, I want to respond to a little bit of that.
Please do.
We're woefully lacking resources. I mean, we have great programs and great agencies and very good people working to handle all those problems. Your alcoholics, your drug addicts, your homeless, your battered women.
Get a touch closer.
Over and over and over again.
That's good.
And but what happens is we don't, take HUD, Housing and Urban Development. They have programs for virtually, child programs. They have programs for the homeless, for the psychologically impaired, and that there's money there. However, what they don't have is the housing stock to carry through. I mean,
are we hearing that, Mayor of Maui, future mayor and council? I think we all know this. We are drastically underhoused here. We need many, 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 many thousands of affordable homes.
But not just that. I mean, they could do simple switches, like, letting HUD invest in sober houses, or being more flexible with what do we do with these dollars that we have. If you have a HUD voucher right now,
A HUD voucher?
A HUD voucher.
So a HUD voucher is when you.
It means
they've looked through your records and looked at all your numbers, and they say, "Hey, you qualify for some help."
And you've been waiting 3 or 4 or 5 years until your number actually comes up.
3 or 4 or 5 years.
Years. That's
wow. And is that because there's no housing? Why is the wait?
Well, it's not just that there's no housing. It's that HUD has these these demographics of how much they can or are willing to pay that aren't in any way compliant to what the market is. Another, like, I live on a HUD voucher that pays $1,350 a month. That's what HUD pays.
Okay.
And all around me, the unit that I live in could go for as much as $2,200 and as little as $1,350.
2,200. You live in a palace?
No, I live in a ohana, a one-bedroom ohana, detached ohana.
2,200. Where is it?
In Kihei.
On the Riviera?
Well, I mean, we
just mid Kihei, right?
Yep.
2,200.
And the place was built in '74.
2,200. So it's not new. It doesn't have new.
No, it's not fancy, but it it suits my needs.
Sure.
But HUD has had a couple years ago just gave out like 500 vouchers for people that had been on the waiting list.
Right.
And once you get this voucher, what happens is you have a specified period of time in which to find a place to live. Well, the HUD's off on their numbers by as much as 25% in terms of what's available in the market, and then there's the other downside for the owners is that why would I take money from somebody that's coming through a social agency that I don't know what their background is? They may be mentally ill or been addicts or have challenges. When I can pick, for every opening there's hundreds of people.
Besides people with
and a lot of the people looking for subsidized housing are old and sick, are young and sick, or are middle-aged and mentally ill, and we just don't have the accommodations to do so.
Okay, so that's just one important, but one piece. That housing, there's plenty of vouchers. The vouchers get issued. The amount of rents charged, from what I'm understanding, are generally over what those HUD vouchers are. And so a HUD candidate isn't as attractive because of their background and their issues that they may have. And there are people that desperately also want housing that aren't on HUD. So it becomes very hard. So what do people do when they don't have a voucher and they have no money?
Well, there's other programs, and one I'd like to mention, which is an excellent program. It's just called Steadfast, and Steadfast Housing, and it is what they call a pre-HUD program, which means that they subsidize you while you're waiting for your number to come up. And but this specific program is for people that have been homeless for a period of 2 years, have mental health or physical health disabilities, and they also allow for recovering people from alcohol and drug abuse.
So let me just, Steadfast.
Yes.
So again,
And-
they're paying money just like HUD, but they're also dealing with the same lack of housing inventory.
Right now, Steadfast is unable to place anybody anywhere.
So here we go. We got HUD, and that's not helpful.
Right.
Steadfast Housing, and that's not helpful now.
No,
Now let's-
it's very helpful.
but only in some
if you
day.
get a place.
Okay, so let's
and they
put
help
it
you get a
aside.
place.
I'm what do we call drilling down.
Okay.
So you went through HUD and they said but you got 4 years to wait and you can't find a place anyway. Then you go to HUD Steadfast and they set it up, and if they had a place, they would get you in a place. And
But
now what you do?
well,
No, there's no Steadfast Housing.
well,
What do you
now
do?
there's all the housing units that are for the elderly and that subsidized housing county.
So I'm
run.
going to jump you over
Sure.
here. So here, you're elderly, and so you apply to Halemahaolu, and they've got, 10 or 12 campuses of 100 to 180 kind of a thing each.
Yep,
But that has a 3, 4, 5 year waiting list.
that's
So that's not a housing program. That's a waiting list. So far, I've heard about 3 waiting lists that you qualify for. Now, what do you do?
you're homeless.
Okay, so now what do you do? So you're homeless. So where do you go? How do you deal with each night safely?
Well, I live in Kihei, literally a block and a half from the beach, and it's the park there.
Like Kalama Park,
Like-
by example, Mid-Kihei.
Right. I mean, there's a tribe of
Tribe.
people that live there, and some for years. And these aren't bums and drug addicts. I know a family that has lived there for at least 4 years. That both the husband and wife work, and they have 3 kids, and they live out of a van in the park and take their kids to school, and they go to work and they come back, and finding a place that they can live and that's within their means is just, I mean, you look at a
Are they
3-bedroom
on all
rental.
these lists?
They're on all the lists that they qualify for. But again, they actually got a HUD voucher last year and couldn't find a home to live in.
So now that we know, I'm going to run it down. I'm almost jumping. We know there's Steadfast. That's great. Nothing available. No room at the inn. Sounds like Jesus. And then HUD, they had nothing. And now you went to the senior thing and you didn't qualify for some reason. And there are lots of reasons you wouldn't qualify. But, I mean, you have to have virtually no assets to be able to qualify
That's
to
true.
get in there.
Yep.
And once you get in there, I mean, I know people that have moved their assets to their kids and their grandkids so they can move into housing because they can't find housing. It's craziness. So I'm now going to just jump here because now you've taken people down the scale. Couldn't find housing. You went through all the programs you qualify for. You're still waiting. These are 2 people working. Do they have any kind of mental health help?
But
Than others?
thank God for that. I mean, we have a great mental health system here. I mean, we have a broad array of I mean, if you can think of a mental health issue.
I got one. I'm homeless. Now you go into mental health because you don't know what to do. You got 3 kids and you're living in a park in a van and you're working and your husband's working and it's starting to drive you crazy and you don't know what to do. So mental health, what do they do for you?
They're not going to do. Their focus is not on that. They're not. You're not going to get a house from them.
No.
But what you can get is the continuity of care, medications, and there's an array of programs. I mean, they've got couple counseling, they've got children counseling, they have a whole bunch of programs that help people that are dealing with the distress of being homeless, and but they're very good at mental health issues, medication issues, addiction issues. It's hard not to find help if you're mentally ill, or if you're addicted.
What if you're on Molokai or Lanai?
Actually, the same programs apply there.
I happen to know that's not the case.
There's
very few people because, again, budgets and money. There's very few people and very few services. Like, for example, I imagine that on Molokai, I've spoken to people on Molokai, there is really no solution. If you're battered, if you're not battered, can you imagine you're not battered and you have to figure out how you're going to get into a homeless shelter and make believe you're battered because you're on the street in the dirt? Or here in Kihei. Now, many people I imagine that are in Kihei that are homeless have drug and alcohol problems. And I never know whether it's a chicken or an egg. Which is first, the drug and alcohol problem or being homeless and the stress of it all? What do you find?
Well, for me, it really doesn't matter. What we do know is that 80% of the people that come in with under homeless, or battered, or addicted, have mental health issues, and they're using the drugs as a form of self-medication.
Right.
And and they start out smoking pot, and then their friends say, "Well, why don't you try this?" And eventually, some percentage of people that do that end up addictive and have the addictive lifestyle of the repetition of in jail, out of jail, cures here, cures there, in jail, out of jail, and never get to the underlying psychological problem.
So there's no.
But the assets are there and they're available.
Assets of what?
The assets to help people that have mental health problems that are also.
Where do they put them?
Well, there's
In
Aloha House, which
only has a few days. I mean, I'm listening to you, but I know these programs are overtaxed. And when they say, look, I remember bringing a lady to the emergency room because they said that's where we're going to get her help. And there in the emergency room, they took her to, it was Aloha House. They gave her 10 days off the street.
Well, actually, out of the emergency room, they would have taken her to the crisis program.
And
which
after
is
10 days, they threw her back on the street.
But that program's set up specifically. Once you get into during that 10 days that they're there, what they do is they get them medicated properly. It gives them a period of to withdraw from whatever drugs they may or may not be taking, and that 10 days gives everybody an opportunity for them to get signed up for getting food stamps, for getting Quest. Quest is the
State
program,
health program,
right? Getting into the continuity of weekly therapy, monthly oversight, what programs are available for that. If you absolutely get lucky enough to have a house or get a house, you can get subsidized.
It sounds like Vegas. Lucky enough to get a place. So we basically, and this is Jason's conclusion, this is what you call an emergency. I don't know why our mayor and council, excuse my French, are you allowed to say balls on radio? Have had the balls to declare it an emergency and create an emergency solution. Why don't I see that? If someone knows the answer, you're welcome to call in here, 873-3435.
My answer to that
is an emergency.
Is twofold. One is money, and the other is not in my backyard.
Yes.
Many other communities across the nation have come up and with programs of what I call micro programs. Is that you take a house, a 3-bedroom house in a neighborhood.
And you break it up into having numbers of people.
No, you have 6 people that live there.
All right.
And then there's like a resident manager. And what happens is now you've solved the problem for 6 people, and it's all in one spot. And you have 3 different agencies that are paying for all that. You have a HUD.
But here we got a different situation. We don't even have a house. There is no house to be able to have 6 people and a resident manager. As much money as you have nowhere. So I can go into Lowe's and for $280 buy a 10-foot by 20-foot tent, and in less than 2 hours with a couple of people, erect a tent. I can get cots. I can create a cooking facility and create showers. We do this for refugees. What about people that are here? Why is this not happening? Can someone let me know that? This is the greatest shock going on. We often, if people that have, point to all these agencies you spoke of. They can say the words HUD and steadfast and all these things, but we're in an emergency. If you drive down Alamaha Street, you see Safeway shopping carts. You wonder, I wonder if there are any shopping carts left at Safeway. It seems like they're filled with plastic bags and sleeping gear for homeless people. And then in Kihei, in the woods, and there's nowhere safe. And if you're a woman, you hear stories of rape and battering and all kinds of stuff. It's like one attacking the other. Maybe you don't have those answers, but I'm really just, you can tell, very upset at what I see and knowing that people aren't helping. They're pointing to solutions.
I share the sense of frustration that you do. And I want to make an appeal because, the people listening to this show, for the most part, you and I are probably speaking to the choir. The demographics of the people that watch this kind of show or listen to this kind of radio are people that, for the most part, are probably middle to upper middle class and have the time to listen to a talk show. Right, so what I want to make an appeal to is all you rich yuppies out there,
or poor yuppies,
is let's get together and do one thing, just one thing.
What is that?
Take one house, right? Somebody that's got the money to, you don't even have to rent a house or lease a house, and let's start simple and small. One house with 6 people in it. Be they battered women, be they drug addicts, be they elderly, be they...
So you're saying, asking the people that have resources
to step
up and not continue to try to get the income they have from these houses, which they can fill with people at the top rate. And the more they do, the more they justify so they can buy another one and fill it with people at the top rate. Yep. So you're saying... get off their income program. There are people that move to Maui and buy places and live off the income they make off these exorbitant rentals. And they justify their high rentals by how much they paid for these houses.
I read something recently that 20% of the houses over $1 million were people that didn't live here.
Well,
at all. That the places are, for all intents and purposes,
I think your
vacant.
numbers are a little off because it's more like the opposite. I'm looking at the clocks here and not sure where the mark for the commercials are. So I'm going to put a segment on, Ron, and then I'll come right back. Hang on. Welcome to the Neutral Zone Smart Minute. Did you know that there was a bio initiative in 2012 which is a comprehensive report on the biological effects of electromagnetic fields, EMFs, and radio microwave frequency radiation, such as that emitted from smart meters? The extensive 1,480-page report has thorough evidence against smart meters and other wireless technologies. It was compiled by 29 authors from 10 countries, including 10 doctors, 21 PhDs. The report shows that biological effects occur with very low exposure levels to EMFs and radio frequencies. Thank you for listening to the Neutral Zone Smart Minute. Well, that was a nice Smart Minute. I am looking for our tech to be able to see where in the hour we are, because we have a segment with a commercial break, and the clock seems to be a little off by my count, so I'm going to talk until they come in and grab me and shake me.
There's something that I want to. One of the things that I wanted to get out there that probably not many people know about is our local police department has a program which they call the Crisis Intervention Training. And what it is that this is a training that they go through. It's 3 hours, and everybody eventually in the whole police force has to go through this because it's been mandated that it was a desirable program. And this is a program which sensitizes the police officers. I don't like the word police officers. I prefer the term peace officers. And this program, I want to repeat it again. It's the Crisis Intervention Training. It's a program that sets up with police to know how to deal with the mentally ill and are the mentally impaired. And on each shift, there is we've trained at about 180 police officers going back over the last 2 or 3 years. And it was set up by Mental Health America. And what the officers learn to do is deal with these people that are mentally ill and know what they're looking at, that they get enough insight of how to deal with the people that are more often than not on the street and drug dependent. So that resource is there, and those who are seeking out help, one of the last things you want to do is call the police, because you're afraid that they'll be adverse.
Right. So when you're on the street, you often are afraid of the police because you're concerned that they're going to do something to you instead of help you, and not understand what's going on and somehow switch things around. And I've seen that happen.
Yep.
But it's nice to know that the officers are going through crisis intervention.
And there's
training.
A lot of.
How do you know about that?
I had a friend that used to run Mental Health America named
Robert Colasano.
Yeah, Robert Colasano.
He helped a lot of people.
No, he did a great job. I'm really sad to see him go, and he invited me to do this with him. And what happened is we ended up gathering. What we do is we gather up a group of people that were in recovery or are recovered or had backgrounds, and we'd have a battered woman, and we'd have a schizophrenic, and we'd have an array of people that were stabilized, and we'd take them and put them in front of the officers and have a question and answer. And it was evident, it was always well received, and I have seen the effects of it. I live virtually across from Kalama Park, and it works. And for those, I know there's families out there that they just don't know what else to do, and at some point they feel like they have to call the police. When you call the police, ask that there be a crisis intervention training guy, and they're there and available on every shift.
Crisis intervention. We're going to take a break here.
Hey, it's Shaggy, critical thinker, problem solver, guy just left of normal and sane, but always centered in common sense. And with a brand new showtime. Catch me Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. and then for the replay, 7 p.m. immediately after Democracy Now! For news, headlines, and a bit of common sense, it's the Shaggy Jenkins Show Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. on KAKU. Hi, I'm Shaggy Jenkins, Program Director for KAKU FM, the voice of Maui. We are a listener-supported station, and as such, we depend on your donations and the support of local businesses to keep our broadcast going. If you would like to help KAKU 88.5, please go to our website at kakufm.org/give to make a donation today. Thanks for your support.
With the 4th of July just around the corner, we know that fireworks can frighten pets, and some may run off. That's why the Maui Humane Society is offering 50% off pet microchipping June 25th through July 3rd. To learn more, call 877-3680 extension 3 or stop by the shelter anytime Monday through Saturday between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. No appointment necessary.
I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but Miss Araceli, she gave me direction.
At age 47, Marco finished his high school diploma.
50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
I'm David Packman, host of The David Packman Show, heard Monday through Friday on KAKU 88.5 FM at our new time, 4 o'clock. Analysis, commentary, interviews, and more from a perspective not offered on corporate media. Not only news from the front lines of progressive issues, but facts that are factual and information that is actually informing. The David Packman Show, heard now at 4 p.m. on KAKU, the voice of Maui.
Hawaii Youth Service Directory is online at 808youth.com. We envision a Hawaii where all youth are connected to the support they need to walk upon a path towards health, happiness, and abundance. 808youth.com is a free, easy-to-use online directory funded by the Office of Youth Services. If you're looking for a family-friendly event, check out our events calendar and connect with us on social media. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Okay, we're back here on the Neutral Zone with Ron Fogel. I'm Jason Schwartz. While we were gone, I was asking Ron if we're covering the subjects. We had broken out and went to commercial break. We were talking about crisis intervention training that the police get at the encouragement of Mental Health America so that they understand better more what's going on the street and how to deal with things. Is that right?
That's right, and it sensitizes them. I mean, you know, the peace officers are out there every day. They know all these people. They've arrested them over and over and over again. They've intervened on their behalf, and you know, imagine doing that job. That every day you see the same people over and over and over again harming themselves, and they sort of get blunted. Well, now with the training, they get an opportunity to intimately see what's on the other side of these people's mental health and addiction.
So basically, they're more sensitive in their handling of it, but yet they don't have resources available to them.
Well,
what do they have?
Well, just not a lot. I mean, there's a, you know, the jails are filled. You know, I mean, at this point, the police have no place to put anybody. And
what if you wanted to be safe at night? Do they have a safe place where people can sleep, even if it's a parking lot?
we have. I mean, sure, we've got, you know, we got the resource centers.
If you're in Kihei, you're not really with a lot of money. There are a lot. I don't want to say dozens, but it seems like easily dozens of people.
Oh, no. There's dozens just in Guam. I mean, if you start at La Perouse and go to the canoe at the end of Kihei Road, there's hundreds of people that live in various spots.
Hundreds.
No, I wouldn't go.
When I hear the numbers that they announce, the official number of homeless people, I am always thinking that they are underreporting.
Well, I mean, to a large degree, that's true because you can't get to a lot of these people. They're living, in the woods, in the weeds, and on the beach, and in the parks.
And they have health challenges that are way more than regular people. You get a scratch and you have nowhere to go. You can get all kinds of things. Mercer and
staph is rampant amongst the homeless. I mean,
I remember when I first kind of met you about this, you were helping someone, a guy that was in his 70s, and he was literally going down the beach and going from one place to the next place and living on nothing. And he had a little bit of benefit coming in, but not very much. But he was starting to get dementia, and he wasn't able to really handle things himself. And you came in, and you were really amazing. You were a champion, and that's what I saw. I saw someone who cared, who wasn't even in a role to do it, but you stepped up. That's what I hope everyone hears out of
well,
this.
I thank you very much.
Up.
I thank you. We can tackle these problems one at a time. If everybody out there that took one person and said, okay, I'm going to help this person, and you don't have to help them economically necessarily. If you have the means, go ahead. But there's a lot of these people. Everything starts with a birth certificate. You get no benefits until you get a birth certificate. If you're from New York and was born in New York, it takes 6 months to get a birth certificate because of background checks. Subsequently, there's 6 months, and various states have various, but it starts with a birth certificate. Once you get a birth certificate, you can get food stamps. You can get health care. You can get case management.
What if you have nowhere to receive it? I mean, that's another issue.
That's a good question. The Salvation Army has a program. The one in the Salvation Army here in Kahului.
Okay.
They have a program specifically for that. The person that doesn't have an address, to go in and they have a case manager there that will help you fill out the forms, mail them away, pay the costs.
I see.
And
so
and,
I would
and
think
the mail
maybe
and the,
this
it would
is
come
on
to the.
all the 3 islands or 4.
I only know about the one here in. I only know about the one.
No, the reason I'm asking, I've talked to people that are homeless on other islands in Maui County, and the facilities and available things there are very little. So hearing about a Salvation Army could help somebody on a neighboring island where there literally is nothing. So, but mostly people try to befriend someone who can help them. A lot of people that aren't homeless, I find, they're very standoffish, because of, and like you say, because of, I don't know if it's mental health issues because of being homeless, or the mental health issues cause them for being homeless. I think more that people being homeless start to get crazy.
Definitely. I mean, and it doesn't really matter where the chicken or the egg. Why not help people where they're at, and if they're homeless, I mean, all that can do is exacerbate any mental health or addiction problems that you have.
How about the guy that, what is he? He wears trash bags.
We've all seen him. He's
a Kihei fixture.
Yep.
Have you ever spoken to him?
Oh, absolutely.
And what's his trip?
He is seriously mentally ill. Probably, I've spoken to him a half a dozen times in the last 3 or 4 years. He doesn't talk. I mean, this guy is probably paranoid schizophrenic. And
is that someone that could get help from someone? Isn't there someone in our community that could say?
This brings us around to another issue.
Yeah.
This guy, I mean, everybody that lives in Kihei knows the trash bag guy. I mean, he's been roaming the streets. He's got a set program that he goes through on a daily basis. And, people try to help him. And do. But he's very shy. He doesn't. He runs away from people, and there's all kinds of benefits that he qualifies for, but he has to be willing to do so. The only time that I've ever seen him even close to normal, or what we consider normal, is periodically he's hospitalized because given for health issues, and
then back onto the street.
Right, and now with Kaiser taking over,
That's not a hospital facility.
Yes, I mean there's a whole regime that's happened since we've lost Maui Memorial Hospital. Is Maui Memorial was sensitive to the issues of the homeless.
That's interesting you say that. I've seen someone called me and said, I just picked up this guy that has his leg all bandaged up, who's homeless, who's been sitting on the grass, and I went back hours later and he was still there. I mean, I just don't understand. Isn't there someone or a group in our community that can scoop people up? I say scoop them up. Give them help. I mean, give them the basics that it needs to live. Are we that shy of resources? Is there no money? There must be money for something. I mean, I just am appalled. There are too many restrictions to helping. People are afraid to help the homeless because they're worried they're going to steal from them or they're going to do something to them, and they're afraid. I don't know what to do about that. Does anyone know what to do? If you so, you can call us, but we need to know what our politicians, we hire and get these politicians in office and somehow think they're going to have solutions. I don't see many solutions, especially if they take money. It takes the public, each individual, to do something. You said it earlier. People have to get involved and help. They have to really recognize that they are part of the help. No agency is going to take away the problems that are at the stage they're at now.
I see a glimmer of hope. Is that I see more and more people just regular people that come down to the park with a pot of food and just go up and say hi, and then it's like 3 years ago there was 3 or 4 people that did that. Now there's probably 25 or 30 people that are doing that. That they come, not regularly, not on a consistent. There is several people that do, like in Kalama Park. They have somebody, a church that comes on Sunday and does a potluck, and they have a Wednesday. Then there's another group that does a Thursday dinner. But I'm seeing more and more of just individual people just going out, because in Kalama there's in one of the, what do you call them, covered.
Yeah. One of the covered areas.
Right.
There, a gazebo.
Yeah. They live. I mean, they own that part of the park. There's at any given time 10 or 15 or 20, even 30 people there.
And so people aren't using it because they're there.
Right. Well, what better use for a public facility? I mean, it's.
So here we go. I'm just mentioning. We hear about, okay, we're going to create a park, and then people are afraid to use it because there are people there who need it for their very survival, that are hanging out, but they don't make it comfortable for them or their kids, and so they complain, and then that things get out of control. Kalama Park is really, for years, it's been the place where people hang out. I've seen so many things go down there, but when you sit and talk to the people that are homeless, some of them really want help. They don't want to be in this situation. Although some have mental health challenges and some have drug challenges, this is a problem anyone can go through. You get a little sick, you lose your paycheck. It just is a real problem.
Yep. I mean, in the 8 years I've lived in Kihei, I have probably seen 100 people that lost their jobs, lost their home. Now they're homeless, and they can't get a job because they can't get clean enough, or so it becomes a spiraling downward cycle. But for the grace of God go I. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's people are one paycheck away from of disaster, and that's the way it is. And we can talk about it, but talk's cheap. For me, it's reach one, teach one. Go out there and help somebody, stick with it, and then that person gets on their feet and they help someone, and that's the solution to me, because we could spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and if there isn't that hope and love and togetherness, it's throwing money at the problem isn't going to work. We need people helping people.
I've seen some of the social workers that are in these programs that are totally burnt out. I mean, totally burnt out.
Yep, that's part of that. That's part of. I worked from the time I was 17 and into my 30s doing nothing but alcohol and drug abuse. By my 30s, I was absolutely fried, and I stopped. And what I do now is I like right now I have 4 or 5 people on my plate that I'm helping through various phases of trying to get off the streets. But I do it at my time and at my pace. And when you're I personally have a case manager. She has 40 clients. I'm one of 40. And she has 40 people that she does an excellent job with.
To the best of what she has as resources available.
Yes.
That's probably the limiting factor.
Right.
That's what I see, that social workers are very caring people, and they are with no resources to help.
Oh, no, it's not true. There's no resources.
Okay. Well, to me, housing has got to be first. If you can't get someone clean and showered and a safe place to sleep and be or cook, I have watched people that are living on the street. You can't, food stamps. You can't get hot food with food stamps.
Yeah, that would seem crazy to me.
That's always is pretty crazy. You can't get toilet paper on food stamps.
In West Virginia, you can use your food stamps to go to McDonald's. That's a local decision. It's made on a local basis. Why can I buy McDonald's in West Virginia and I can't buy McDonald's in Hawaii?
That was a local decision, is that right? Or statewide? Okay. I mean, I just know that the resources are good. We all think that these resources are unlimited, or we can keep giving them out, but obviously that's not the case. But the private sector, where there is no food stamps, there is lots of food and people are donating. Somehow it's not reaching where it needs to reach. I don't really think that there's a lack sometimes of resources. There's a lack of available resources.
Well, I'll give you a prime example
Okay.
of that. I live a block and a half from Foodland.
Right.
So, I see daily what's going on there. There's a whole group of people that live over they get all their food in what Foodland throws out. They're what do they call it? Dumpster dumping?
Oh, dumpster divers.
Right, dumpster divers.
Dumpster
right?
divers.
And I mean, good stuff. I remember I went into 8 o'clock in the morning. I went into Foodland. I'd get a cup of coffee and they have a big cheese aisle, right? And the compressor had gone off, and there was literally 4 full garbage wagons, shopping carts full of cheese that they were throwing out.
Because it was past its date.
No, it's because it gotten the cooling thing overnight stopped, and so they're mandated that if the thing stops, they have to get rid of it. Now I said to the woman, "You're going to throw this out?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Well, can I take one?"
No.
And I said, "Well, how about if I take all of it?" No. I then went to the store manager, and I said, "This is crazy, man. You and I both know this cheese is perfectly okay. And furthermore, you know that I can take it over to the park and have it gone
in seconds,
in minutes." And his response was, "Well, we're going to throw it in the trash on the 6:30 run." But he had to take this perfectly good food, throw it into a dumpster. Now, it did give us the leeway, and it just sort of, what's that, a wink and a whatever.
Yeah, and on a side.
Yeah,
Side wink.
and so, we fed Kalama Park cheese for the next 4 days. But that happens every single day. You know how many, like Foodland, McDonald's, all of them. They, at the end of the evening, the hot chickens that you should be able to buy with food stamps, there's always 5 or 6 or 7 of those. They just throw them out.
Right, and I remember one homeless lady told me that part of what she does is she picks up the chicken and potatoes from the minute stop and brings them out.
Yep.
I know. And then the people that are out there are expecting her to do this, and when then she doesn't do it, they give her problems.
Oh, well.
So there's like a chain of issues. That's why I say it's...
We spoke about this earlier. I want to go back. There's some point where you got to stop helping some people, especially like in the addiction field. And if your help is helping them to continue,
enable them to be unable.
There's a point at which you have to say no, just no. And that's very hard, and families get caught up in it so much. I mean, I have friends that are my age, 60 to 70-year-olds, that they're going through the 3rd generation of ICE within their families. And if you could turn to virtually anybody in the island, especially people that have grown up and lived here.
Methamphetamine.
We're talking about methamphetamine. Well, there's a dozen names
so
for clear,
they've gone through it. Their
ice,
kids go through it. Their grandkids go through it.
Right.
And it's
an epidemic. It's an epidemic. It is deadly. I mean, I've been in the field since I was 19. I'm now 70. And this drug is I call it devil dust. And I have seen perfectly normal, healthy people come in, took one hit, and gone. I mean, it is diabolical. I mean, I've seen over and over and over and over again young people that, you know, they're just out partying with their friends, and the next thing I know, they're selling their bodies on the street.
Yeah, well, we're less than 2 minutes in. I mean, this subject, I keep wondering here. We've been sitting and talking for an hour, and we talked about HUD and Steadfast and Hale Mahaolu for seniors, but have we really come to any kind of handle on what people can do? Why don't I give you a minute to your hit on if someone's in a challenge, what they could do? Is that a fair question? I mean, it's a rough deal. Compassion from the public is probably the greatest thing we can do, and help. What can we do?
There's no simple answer to that. If you have the time and you have the heart, you have the money, just reach out. Doing anything is better than doing nothing. Even if it's just bringing food to a homeless person or a homeless place. I mean, if you live here, that would be my best guess. Is just one step, one person at a time.
Well, I've been speaking with Ron Fogel. Ron Fogel is a citizen and a champion who has helped a lot of people try to find their way through a very difficult time. Ron, I appreciate the time you spent here on the show. I hope that people will be in touch with this problem and try to start helping people. The Neutral Zone, we are signing off.
No.
Aloha.
Now what happens?